You okay, Holmes? I'm back. Park the feet in case you take off with it.
The wind doesn't get up anymore.
What are you doing?
Hello, fellow Europeans. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for coming out on an uncharacteristically dream January day in Scotland. I stand before you in this Financial Report. I'm a rank and file member of Stirling for Europe. I stand here as a proud European, and we are and will remain and will be Europeans, despite the weather.
Yes.
But here I'm really delighted and proud to hand over to our own MP, a tireless advocate of European values and of our place in it, our own MP, Alan Smith.
Mike, thanks very much indeed, and thank you all for coming out today. I think symbolism matters right now, and I think solidarity matters right now. Even the weather's matching all of our moods right now today. And I would pay tribute to the work that's been done by people of all parties and none cross-party over the last few years. Scotland voted for Europe. Stirling voted for Europe. I was born European, and I want to remain European whatever happens in Scotland's future. I was in Edinburgh this morning, I'm here today, I'm going back to Edinburgh to show solidarity with the event at the National Parliament. I'm going through to Glasgow for the event this evening to actually mark with like-minded friends from all points of the political spectrum, left, right, all parties and none, because Scotland has voted for something different than where we are right now. There is a democratic conundrum which is being set. If the people of Scotland were in charge of our destiny, we would be in a better position than we are right now. Now, we don't know what's in Scotland's future, and I've said in the European Parliament before, we'll need cool heads and warm hearts. I stand by that. But I was in Brussels this week to say goodbye to some friends, to show support as Scotland's MEPs from all parties left the European Parliament for the last time, for the moment. And the solidarity that we have from our European friends is significant, is warm, and is real. I was really, really heartened to see that Leave a Light On has become the motif for where we all are nationwide. And it means whatever you want it to mean. It can mean leave a light on for Scotland to come back to the EU. It can mean leave a light on for the UK to come back from the EU as well. Because I want to see the people of Scotland engaged in what comes next. I'm facing a Westminster government that still can't tell us what Brexit actually is. What they want is the people to go away and feel despair and walk away from what's going on and just let them get on with it and pretend they're in charge of events. They are not. The European Union is organised and knows what it wants out of this process. Our government does not. And they're going to need all the help they can get from all of us as engaged citizens to find some sense to this process. But I asked the European Parliament to leave a light on for Scotland, to leave a light on for us. They're going to do that. They have answered that call. And it's thanks to people like yourselves turning out on days like this that Scotland is a European nation. And Scotland will be heard. Thanks for coming.
Hello everybody again. Thank you very much, Alan, for that rousing speech. Absolutely right. Could you all please now bring up a light, if you have one, to the roundel? And, sorry, could you bring a light up to the roundel to mark our continued dedication to the European principles? Thank you very much. Any donations will go to our funds. Thank you very much.
Hi, Greg. Hi.
And the rest of the speeches will be at 5 o'clock. Thank you.
So you just had a short speech. Hello everybody, hope you can hear me okay. You just had a short speech from Alan Smith as all these folks are gathering here in the centre of Stirling on this pretty grim day, but it's not, well, grim for all sorts of reasons, but weather-wise, thankfully the rain's lit up just for a moment.
All the lights up here.
They're looking for people to join them on the roundel for the lights. Great photo opportunity here. Yeah, pretty miserable day all round.
Everybody up to the roundel. A massive light.
Because we're all gathering here in solidarity, we're having parties on other parts of Britain. Absolutely fed up, turning on the news and you're seeing presenters, cheery presenters telling everybody it's day today, and there's all these parties going on, and a parade of Brexiteers on the news saying, showing up what the parties are having and waving all the Union Jacks and what have you, and absolutely scunnered with it. So it's nice to bring you something that's a wee bit. Just getting away with another camera here.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to Stirling here. The name is Sherman Wright and Film Media Journalism in Stirling here. And basically the reason as to why we're here this evening in the middle of Stirling Town Centre is because Stirling...
Quite a loud voice, that's like.
Are shining a light this evening. Behind me here we have a massive crowd who are obviously in support.
You don't really need my commentary. You've got one coming from this fellow over here.
The SNP Stirling representative for the MSP. I was talking to Alan there, and this is what Alan had to say.
Which is the anthem for the EU. I might be wrong, but I thought it was you.
So as you hear, there you have it there from the SNP representative from this area. There's absolutely no doubt about it that Stirling has said no to Brexit. Stirling don't want to be part of Brexit, and neither does Scotland. So you have it here that these folks here are all here tonight to shine a light, and they're not here for no reason. Can I hear a yes from you, please? Yes! This is Sherman Wright reporting in Stirling. Thank you.
See some faces.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We're all working for determination. That is true.
I'm sure it's a teacher. No, anyone that knows me knows I would not ever hurt them. I'm a Coxman. Yeah, not me.
Just the two of you together, okay?
Learning to read.
Cheesies.
I don't know if we've got any more speeches coming up shortly. I know Mark Ruskell's here somewhere, but he hasn't spoken yet, so I don't know if that's still to happen. Hi Lenore, yeah, great turnout, brilliant. And Scott, yeah, it's especially on a night like this, which was slightly improved since I left the house, so which is good. At least it's not the common Scottish phrase, piss in the rain. Yeah, definitely not a day of celebration for Scotland. Just a day that illustrates exactly where our democratic deficit lies. Dragged out of the EU because of our larger and heavier populated neighbour. Completely sidelined and ignored by Westminster. Not just ignored, treated with absolute disdain. I don't know if you've seen Prime Minister's questions the last couple of weeks, but Boris Johnson hasn't answered any questions from the SNP. He's just thrown back a lot of rubbish and lies back in their faces, instead of actually answering the questions that's been given to him. And hopefully this year will illustrate exactly why we need independence to more and more people who have joined the campaign since 2014. But we also have to talk about the positive and the great things that an independent Scotland can offer, rather than as well as negativity that's been thrust upon us from Westminster. We know there's a better future as an independent Scotland, because we support it, we've looked at it, we've done our homework. But there's plenty of other people who, amazingly, haven't caught up yet, and we need to make them aware. We need to explain to them exactly why Scotland is big enough, rich enough and smart enough, and give them the evidence. Go to Business for Scotland, get the wee book. They've got a new book that you can order from their website. We've also got the National are running some Mythbusters as well, so check them out, because they're not behind the paywall either. So if you go to the National, you can actually access those Mythbusters without having to sign up to the National. But it's always good to support your only newspaper that supports independence. Well, that was a bit spontaneous. Our friend. Thank you. Get a wee bit of rain on you. No, it's fine. I'm going to get a wee bit nearer and see what this chap is saying. Oh, it's smart whiskers.
Very much for inviting me here to share some thoughts with you. I have to say, when I was thinking about what to say to you, this afternoon, I was kind of struggling a bit because I'm sure, like you, there's a lot of emotions flowing through my veins right now. Quite frankly, there's a lot of anger as well. Anger at the lies that were used. Anger at the lies that were spouted in the referendum campaign. Anger at the racism as well, the downright racism that was used to win the Leave vote. But, you know, I also feel a sense of grief and loss as well. Grief at the loss of our rights, of our freedoms, and the opportunity for solidarity as well. But there's also a sense of defiance and a sense of hope. We've got an opportunity to walk side by side with our European friends and neighbours, to walk step by step, to stay aligned with the European Union, with our European family, so that one day we can hold hands with them once again and be part of that European family. We've got to hold on to that hope. I also feel as well a sense of real gratitude. Gratitude for what the European Union has done for us. The fact that it's been the most important global peace project ever. It's brought incredible peace and security over the last 50 years. But it's also brought love, it's brought friendship, it's brought opportunities for learning across this amazing continent of ours, and that's something we should be eternally grateful for. It's also brought fundamental rights for us as European citizens. We have 50 fundamental rights: the rights of equality between men and women, the rights of children, the rights for the elderly, the rights to have a clean environment. Europe has given us all of these things. And we've been engaged over the last 3 years, all of us together, in one fight to try and stop Brexit. And that fight for the time being is over. But now there'll be dozens more battles every time we get a dodgy trade deal, every time that there's an attempt to try and weaken the regulations and the laws that protect our vital freedoms. So we've got to fight that. We've got to keep vigilant, and we've got to protect the rights that were hard won for. And we've got to stop the change and say that when our rights are being eroded, not in our name. But I also have a lot of gratitude for those EU citizens, the EU 27 citizens that have made Stirling and Scotland their home. You know, they're not others. You are not others. You are part of us. You are us. And we have to do everything that we can to protect their rights going forward. I think in many ways maybe we've taken our EU nationals for granted. Maybe all of us a little bit. We've taken them for granted. But we should never compromise on their rights. Never. And Holyrood, the next couple of weeks, we'll be finalising a bill that will bring democratic rights to EU citizens, retain those rights so they can vote and stand for election in our elections going forward. It's hugely important that we protect those rights. And I think there's a real sense of hope here that we can take out of where we are right now, because that light that Alan's talked about, it's burning brighter now, minute by minute, hour by hour, and it's showing us the way, it's showing us the choices that we have as a nation going forward. I mean, in the independence referendum in 2014, we were told that by voting no, that we would stay within the European Union. And I'm sorry, but that was a lie. That was a clear lie. And I think we now are in a situation where we need to think for ourselves again, think about the choices that lie ahead of us, and choose our own destiny. And for me, I believe Scotland can be an outward-looking, inclusive, independent nation, part of a family of nations in these islands, but also part of a much bigger family of nations across the whole of Europe. So tonight, yes, we're standing here and we're mourning, but it's also an opportunity for us to organise for the future, to choose our own destiny, and to choose that destiny back in the European Union. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mark. And if I may for a moment, Mark's words about keeping the truth alive, combating, challenging the myths and the lies which are still, challenging the myths and the lies which are going to keep coming as the Brexiteers do not take responsibility for what is down the road. It reminds me of something I've taken great comfort from in recent months and recent weeks, which is Václav Havel's idea of living in truth. Living in truth. And this means two things to me. One, challenging these myths, this misinformation. Two, live as if we are Europeans, because that is what we are. And that means cultivating whatever European friendships you have. That includes especially the Europeans who live amongst us, but it also includes British people who live in the European Union, because they do and have felt very literally unsettled and disconcerted and anxious about what has been going on. It means also following European politics, keeping abreast of that, and it means also keeping alive your European identity by engaging with European culture and the history and heritage of our common European home. And we will find our way back to our common European home. And what I'm thinking right now is that that journey begins here, and it begins now. Thank you. Well, you're right. Well, you're being sold down this morning by the negotiations.
A bit heckling from the audience there. Guy asked what about the working man, what about the ordinary working man, what about the fisherman? And he was told they'd been sold out. So he hasn't replied, so I take it he's satisfied with that answer.
Good afternoon. Is that okay? Yeah. Good afternoon. It's a lovely Scottish weather. And I am not Scottish, I am French. But I am a new Scot. I've actually been a new Scot for a long time, actually. Woohoo! And you know what? The thing what the Tories have done, and they've talked about Brexit like it was only about trade and commerce. Europe is not just about commerce and trade, it's about peace. My father was in the resistance and during the war. My grandfather was in the First World War. That's why we have Europe. Europe is not just about money. Europe is about peace, and it's about cooperation. And it's about... And it's about your children. Your children are not going to be deprived of the freedom that I have had, that I have exercised for the last 40 years. I have been in this country for 40 odd years, and I have been able to move back and forth between France and between Scotland. Your children and your grandchildren will not have that opportunity, and that is a disaster for them. It's a disaster for us as a country. It's a disaster for the young people, and I can't understand. It's also a disaster, actually, for the ordinary working people that somebody was talking about in the crowd, because you're going to be had by the Tory government. The Tory government is not for working people. The Tory government is full of millionaires coming from the privileged Eton class. They are not for you. They are for themselves and for their friends in the banks. And this is why Brexit is a catastrophe. And our friends in Europe completely can't understand it. I can tell you that all my family and my friends in France, they can't understand. And in fact, French people are now even more European than they were before. Everybody in Europe, people think, right, well, I'm staying there because it's a lot better than what we've got now. So we need to keep fighting, and the only way we are ever going to go back in the EU again is for Scotland to be independent. And this is why we need to fight all the time and convince people that this is the best way for us.
Excellent.
From the heart.
Oh, merci.
I could do anything.
Well, that was a pretty fantastic speech there. Showing that again. That's brilliant. Wind's getting up a little bit again. Rain.
And our next speaker is one of our own European and a resident of Stirling and a great academic, great scholar. Her name is Alenka Jelen-Sanchez, and she will speak to you right now. Thank you, Alenka.
Here's Alenka.
Thank you so much for this. And thank you everybody for coming. Can I have a shout from the all EU citizens who are still going to be EU citizens tomorrow? So yes, this to me, and I think to all of us, is one of the saddest days and one of the hardest days since I moved here. Loss, sadness, helplessness, all those feelings, anger is what we're feeling. And Scotland, as we heard so many times, did not vote for this. And we hope that one day we will find our way back to the European family of nations. George Eliot once wrote that only in the agony of parting do we look into depth of love. And boy, we have done that. Europe has done that in the last few days. The love they showed for Scotland, the love they showed for the UK cannot be dismissed. The love that Scotland is showing tonight for Europe cannot be dismissed, cannot be taken away. Now, for all of us who are still going to be EU citizens tomorrow, we will still have the citizenship, but we will no longer have EU residency. And in my life, I never thought I'm going to be in this position again. Now, I come from Slovenia. Slovenia is a young country. It's younger than me. In 1991, we separated from Yugoslavia. We fought 10 days of war. It was 10 days too many. But we fought for European values and for European rights. We joined the EU in 2004, and I was 23 years old. So I can tell you how it is, because I still remember how it is living outside of the European Union. Like my previous speaker said, it's not about politics. It's not about economy. It's very, very personal. Being outside of Europe means that you can't just go and live and stay in another country for any longer than your visa allows you to. Or you have to go through very, very lengthy bureaucratic procedures and work permits to actually stay there. It means you can't just bring your favorite Italian salami back to Scotland or bring haggis to your friends in Europe, if you do such a thing, because there might be restrictions on food. There might be restrictions on customs. You can't just kind of pick up and go somewhere. There's no free roaming anymore either. There's no free digital market. You can't just bring your friends over here to do some work, or your colleagues, because they need a work permit. You're no longer protected by the European Court of Justice. The list goes on. So yes, the European Union is not perfect. We've heard that time and again. It's not perfect, but it's very close to being perfect. It works for individuals. It works for me. It works for you. It doesn't work for tax-avoiding corporations, and it doesn't work for corporations that are willing to sacrifice our well-being and environment for profit. It doesn't work for self-serving politicians. And it doesn't work for media moguls who are jeopardizing our freedoms and democracy. So yes, today I'm very sad, but it's not just about EUs. For us, Brexit happened at 5 a.m. on 24th of June in 2016, when our rights were taken away from us. 3 million people went from residents of this country to citizens of nowhere. All of a sudden, the right to live and exist and love and work in the UK was taken away. Now, you will hear that our rights are protected. They are not. We have to apply for them. I'll say this again. We have to apply for them. For something that we have. Risk being rejected and risk being degraded. But today, it's also about you. 66 million only UK citizens will lose European rights tomorrow. And we will not forget how you stood by us through difficult times. We will not forget how our Scottish friends, colleagues, Scottish government stood by our side. Why? While the UK, some UK media, some UK politicians really dehumanized us. We were an amorphous group of people who should be sent back home, who are stealing British jobs and jeopardizing British way of life, whatever that means. We came here because we were needed. We came here because we wanted to. And it was difficult to leave our home countries because we all were watching our mothers, fathers, grandmothers
grandfathers, relatives and friends with tears in our eyes when they said goodbye to us. We still feel terribly homesick, usually on Sunday afternoons. We still miss proper summers, but we're and sometimes proper winters when it snows instead of rains. But we're honored to be here, and we're very happy to be here. And the beauty of Scotland and the beauty of Scottish people sometimes takes our breath away. So the way you were there for us, we will be there for you. Comes tomorrow and comes the day after. Today, our EU dreams, our EU future are taken away from us. Tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow, we will wipe away the tears we're shedding today. We're gonna get up and say, this is not what we wanted. This is not in our name. And we're gonna do all we can to find our way back to our family of nations, to our European family where Scotland rightly belongs. So let's keep those lights on tonight, tomorrow, and until we're back in the EU. Thank you very much.
Can you hear me? Yes, can you hear me? Yes. Good. Do we have Faizan Rehman here? Okay, so we promised you one more speaker, but unless Faizan Rehman is here from the Lib Dems, we're going to move to close the proceedings before we all dissolve completely, and we're going to try and sing the Ode to Joy. Before we do that, and while the music is getting set up, can I thank you all for coming out on this unbearably dreich day. It struck me earlier that I think everyone feels sad, but at least we're not sad on our own. We've come out together to share this moment.
All right.
If you're free this evening, you can also go to Edinburgh. But thank you for coming here this afternoon. We've abandoned the idea of leaving messages for Europe on the flip chart because they'll just wash off. So put them on our Facebook page at Stirling for Europe. And thank you again for coming, and to my colleagues in Stirling for Europe for helping to put this on a fairly impromptu basis, as you can probably tell. Thank you.
Well done.
And if you don't know the words, La is very useful. Just sing out.
He was here. He went up to that.
I was just going to say that there needs to be
I think we're going to get some singing here just to round off the proceedings. That was an amazing speech from Alenka. I was actually a little bit moved by that. That was incredible, Alenka. Well done. Oh my God, amazing speakers. Sorry if you're just getting part of my brolly here. So we'll just move Smee to the speaker here, and hopefully we'll get the music and you can hear the singing at the same time. Because I've got the windbreaker on this microphone here, but I've no idea how it's sounding at home. You're probably getting some wind noise. Apologies for that. I hope you heard the speeches okay. So don't go just yet. Bit of singing in solidarity to come just yet.
Donations welcome still, the bucket's here if anybody wants to put anything in. And can I say thanks to Roz Walker, who's about to play the Ode to Joy for us to accompany. Any other instruments? Please come and collect your lights.
Well, that concludes the demonstration here today. I thought it was bloody excellent. Really, really surpassed my expectations, I have to say. Those speeches were more powerful than I expected them to be. So, thanks for tuning in, folks. I'm going to leave this up so you can watch it again, and we'll cut bits of it up and share it around. Thank you, people. Have a good evening. Leave a light on.